Oh, Wednesday afternoon on the halftime show. Bill Gunner, Tyler Head, Captain Dave Adair, as we get into the back half of the week. It feels like a slow week. I don't know if it's because we've wrapped up baseball, or not wrapped it up, but wrapped up.
A few days off.
Yeah. I don't know if it's that. I don't know if it was just the last 2 weeks were so action-packed, just jammed of sports on a consistent basis. There's college football on tonight.
There is. There's college football last night, too.
There's college football on last night,
Watched Owls, shout out Hootie Hoo, win down there in Miami on Vice Night.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I got to admit, of all the things, did not get into that. I was into the NBA. You and I were talking about that.
Round Ball Rock.
Round Ball Rock, NBA, and I didn't make it to the. I tried. I didn't. Well, I got to about 3/4 of the Lakers and the Warriors.
Yeah, a little too late.
But yeah, so I was good with where I was at, but I got into hockey last night.
Okay,
it was a hockey. Ended up being a hockey night. Watched a little bit of Kennesaw State. Not too much else from there, but yeah, kind of it just feels kind of like after what is it, about 6 weeks of just nonstop action.
Sure.
At least for Tuesday, Wednesday, and even for Thursday, because tomorrow night we don't have a great college football game.
And I haven't even looked at tomorrow night's slate yet. No ECU this week?
No ECU. Yeah, they get the week off apparently. So what it does is it feels like we get just kind of a quick breather before ramping back up for between Saturday and then going all the way into post-Thanksgiving.
I guess Sunday we'll have the sports equinox where all 4 major sports are playing on the same day, because that'll be, or maybe, is it Monday? I guess it'd be Monday, because I don't think you'd have a game 3 on Sunday for the World Series, right? Because it'd be a travel day. Am I thinking correctly on that?
You might be right. I'm not.
Yeah, I have to look at the schedule. But either way, in the next couple of days, we're going to get, at the beginning of next week, the sports equinox where all 4 major sports are being played on the same day, which is cool. But like you said, and this is what makes October great, is I keep going back to with everything happening, especially postseason baseball, and the stakes there. World Series getting started this week, and you ended up being right in terms of what your World Series pick was between the Dodgers and the Blue Jays. So props to you for that.
Thank you.
And yeah, it should be a fun series, and obviously college football in the thick of conference play now, and maybe that's what has made this week so long, is like the stuff we've had to talk about with this team, right? It's not been fun. We've not had fun conversations Monday, didn't have fun conversations yesterday before and after Beamer spoke about where this team's at, and you don't get any reprieve. In fact, you've got your hardest test yet with number 4 Alabama coming into town this weekend.
Well, see, and now I'm a partial Georgia fan, so don't get me wrong. I'm with you.
Sure.
I'm kind of there. A lot of family went to Georgia, had family members that worked in the Georgia athletic department. Probably had I not gone to South Carolina, Georgia would have been option number 2. But see, you as a Georgia fan, especially you as a younger Georgia fan, you're not used to what it's like to be really kind of out of it by mid-October.
It is an odd feeling, I'll say that.
And for South Carolina right now, for a lot of fans, it's trying to honestly figure out, all right, what is going on with this season? For me, and this is hard to wrap my head around, what are we doing with the future of the program? And by that, I don't mean, are we firing a coach? Are we firing an offense coordinator? Are we doing this? Are we doing that? I don't know, but you don't know. You don't know. And I'm of the Sidney Rice days when Sidney Rice told Steve Spurrier he was coming back. Mm-hmm. And there was a big press conference, and Steve Spurrier got up there and was all happy and bragged and promoted, and all the good stuff happened. And then all of a sudden, Sidney Rice wasn't in his dorm.
Yeah,
I think he was out in Arizona at a combine. And I say that because it doesn't matter what Lenore Sellers or Dylan Stewart or any player, name player X, name a recruit, says today on October 22nd, it's a long way to go.
Sure.
and I don't know what the future of the program is. And yes, I'm negative right now. I'm kind of bleak. I'm not finding joy. If that, I don't know if that makes Shane any happier, but I'm not finding joy in being beat 26-7. I'm not finding joy in the fact that Alabama scores football points and South Carolina does not, and you can kind of see something coming down the tracks right now. To me, okay, it's about where are we going in the future.
And this is something I brought up yesterday. And look, even in the couple of years Beamer's been here, we have those specific games that we always go back to and pinpoint them as specific moments where things shifted or things changed after the fact. And the Florida game in 2022 is a perfect example. That was one of the worst showings a Beamer team has ever had. And nobody here in Columbia, nobody around the nation or around the world gave them a chance to beat Tennessee the next week, and they obviously went and did that. And that's where a lot of people are putting in their hopes, say, hey, we've done it before, maybe we can do it again. Saturday was one of the poorest performances, maybe of the Beamer era, if not the poorest performance. And it kind of feels like, especially with the blowback and conversation about what Beamer said after the game and the narrative around this team as of right now, it really felt like that game was a moment in time where that's either the beginning of a steep decline or the beginning of, hey, we're at rock bottom, let's build up from here. Like, it kind of felt like a low point, and it's up to them to decide which way they're going to go from here.
I don't think it's a steep decline because, again, I don't think you have a decline. Now, Florida State's desperately trying to prove me wrong on this, but I don't think you have a decline in college football because, again, it's year to year.
Sure.
You can go hit the transfer portal and do whatever you want, and next year maybe it's not 10-2 and 11-1 in college football playoff, but you can get to 8-4 and have a fun season.
Sure.
So I continue to say it's a year-to-year basis, but when your season feels kind of doomed by mid, or it is now, I guess, late October, by the time we get to the 25th on Saturday, it takes the luster away. And I also think the odd thing here is we were all looking at that Clemson game, rubbing our hands together like, oh, boy, noon game, maybe for a playoff spot. If not, it'll be two really good teams. South Carolina's won 2 of the last 3. Shane Beamer's been able to kind of change this rivalry. South Carolina hadn't won at home since –
Is it 2013? Yeah, 2013.
Yeah. Yeah, there was just all these things. And now I feel like both fan bases like, do we really want to play this game?
It went from last year being the most high-stakes version of that rivalry because both teams were playing for what they thought was their playoff lives at that point. And, of course, we didn't know Miami was going to lose to Syracuse and give Clemson a pathway to still get in anyway. But Carolina gave themselves a chance to still be in the playoff hunt by winning that game. And, certainly the expectations going into this year was, hey, maybe those teams can be top 10 teams and one might be undefeated and who knows what happens there. And now, the question becomes is either team even going to be bowl eligible at that point? Like, at least 2 years ago, like, Carolina was fighting for a bowl opportunity going in that game 5-6, didn't get it obviously, and went 5-7. There's a realistic a possibility neither team could be playing for anything at all going into that game already with 7 or more losses in the final game of the season.
No, you're exactly right. And it's both teams. And for Clemson, it's a little bit more new. For Clemson, it's kind of like, whoa.
Yeah.
What is this uncharted territory? But although we don't talk Clemson on this program, but the numbers are starting to become staggering with losing streaks and trends that have occurred up at Memorial Stadium under Death Valley. And Dabo can go to the mic on Saturday and say, we're going to win championships and, we're not done. But the numbers right now don't bear it out. And college football has changed dramatically from the days where he was winning football games.
And again, this seemed like the year where it was all going to come together because they had returned so much talent. They were very deep. A lot of guys that were projected as high picks in the draft. Like, okay, if this was going to be an I told you so year for Dabo Swinney, here you go. And it obviously hasn't happened. Now they're dealing with Klubnik's injury. Chris Vazina started this past weekend in their loss against SMU. So who knows what's going to happen with all that. But, it's not been a fun year for football in the Palmetto State, unfortunately.
No, and Russ weighs in and says, trust me, Bill, you're not alone in the way you feel. And, It's, I, I got other things in my life. I got two great kids. I got great family. I got other things going on. My life isn't dependent around college. Well, Tyler, there was a time in my 20s where maybe I should have like right when I got married and everything, when I should have taken stock of what I was doing in my life, and my affiliation, my affinity for college football. But yeah, it's just you want to get excited. I was really excited about this coming weekend.
Yeah.
I was really like you knew the weather was going to start to turn and be perfect, and sure enough, it's going to be. Alabama coming to town is always a fun trip, fun game, no matter what Alabama's ranked or if you're ranked or whatever's going on. It just and on top of that, throw in last year's game. It felt it had all the makings of being like the seminal moment at Williams-Brice Stadium this year, even above the Clemson game. And 803-404-6100. Correct me if I'm wrong. And there's some of you out there that are extreme optimists, and that's awesome. And be optimistic about everything. It feels like the air's been let out of the football, out of this Saturday's game.
We were talking about this over the summer, and I've had the opportunity to go to all the home games these past 2 years, but I'm always watching it from the press box, so you don't get the best atmosphere type of feel being up there because, you know, it's behind windows and glass and all that kind of stuff, and it's noisy, sure, but it's not the same as sitting out there in the stands. And I'd actually pinpointed this exact game. I was like, hey, I think I'm going to go spend a quarter out in the concourse, you know, one of the stairwells or whatever, and, you know, or on the walking roundabouts there on the edge of the stadium, just trying to get a feel and a sense of Williams-Brice at its best from a fan perspective, being out there in the crowd amongst the people. And I don't know if I'm going to get that same vibe this weekend, maybe at the very start of the game when everybody's charged up and is actually in their seat, because, again, I feel like this could go sideways pretty quickly, and you think people were leaving early in the third quarter last week. Just wait if Alabama jumps up by 2 or 3 scores in the first half this week.
This is my concern for the weekend. Fans are showing up to cheer. I think by and large, 90% of the home team fans show up for a good time, and they want to see their team pull the victory, and they want to see things happen. And, you know, you want to cheer. You're there to cheer. You're there to clap and smash your hands together and yell and scream and wave your towel. There's also part of me that feels like part of this crowd is showing up with their booing sticks ready to go. They've been practicing all week. Like, there is a hint to me, you tell me if I'm wrong, and I'm going to use a word, and I don't know if it's the right word, a hint of animosity right now toward, and the thing is, Shane Beamer can fix it, and I'm not saying he should, but there's definitely a hint of animosity to Mike Shula on the sideline for what he has done to this offense.
Well, we had a protest yesterday, which we can get into a little bit later on in the show, but yes, I feel like, let's say, you know, opening drive of the game, Carolina gets the ball and they decide to run it up the middle for no gain. I mean, that place is going to come unglued at one play.
Especially when you know that you have 3.5 more hours.
Exactly. Like, yes, there's a lot of people that have that on their mind as well as like, hey, I'm going to the game. I hope we have a good time, but I'm ready to let my frustrations be known with the direction of where this offense is.
803-404-6100 is how you can weigh in if you want to do so this afternoon. Let's see, David weighs in and says, I had a hot take earlier this year before the season that Carolina was going to beat Alabama. I want y'all to put me in the psychic ward if I ever say something like that crazy again. Well, David, I said they were going to beat Oklahoma. So you and I together, we'll straight jacket it up and get the heck out of here. 803-404-6100. We'll come back. There was some basketball last night. That was kind of a positive. We'll talk a little bit about that and tell you all about what occurred over at Colonial Life Arena. You're listening to the Halftime Show.
Time ahead for our friends over at Tilly's Warehouse, first wine and spirits store in 5 Points in over 20 years. Locally family-owned and operated right there on Green Street behind the Salty Nut Cafe in the old Pavlov's building. It's a hard place to miss and located right there in 5 Points to get you in and out and get you what you need. And they, quite frankly, have everything you could want in there. Yes, they have G4 tequila. They have the Garden in Black vodka, which benefits 25% to South Carolina's NIL. That's made out in Leesville. They have High Noons. They have Sun Cruises. Buy the case. You can buy the ready-to-drink ones. Buy the cash register as well. And just about anything else you can imagine over there at Tilly's Warehouse. Mention this ad that you heard on 107.5 The Game, and you can get 10% off any wine selection. You can also stay connected with them on Instagram and Facebook, or visit their website at tillyswarehouse.com for more information. Discover why Tilly's is your new must-visit spot over in 5 Points.
Keep the opinions coming. We'll get to them here. I understand there's a lot to get to. It's only on Wednesday, but still a lot to kind of unpack. We'll kind of officially put, since I wasn't here yesterday, we'll officially put the Oklahoma game to bed and we'll turn our attention to Alabama. We didn't. There's just so much to unpack from that Oklahoma game that we'll spend a little bit more time on it, but it'll be time. It's time to turn the calendar and turn the page, turn the week, and look ahead to Alabama. And we'll do that here later on in the show as well. 803-404-6100. But let's get to some of these text messages. Tyler, do you agree with this? Texter says, the air is long gone. The stadium last weekend was quiet, reserved, tame, lame, whatever you want to call it. You would have thought we were Maryland. Ooh, that's a shot. The student section was full and made almost no noise. Quietest stadium I've ever seen for an SEC game.
I mean, I think there was energy at the beginning, as you would expect with the entrance and all that kind of stuff. Did I mention the omen of Cocky not coming out of the Cocky boost all the way up?
I saw your tweet, yeah.
Yeah, I figured that was going to be a bad sign, and it ended up being. But I think right at the beginning, it was kind of what you expect. But, you know, it's especially when you drive down, and okay, it's an opening drive, whatever. But after Carolina fails to get the fourth down, it was kind of gone at that point.
4th-and-1 play, and things were kind of clicking to begin.
Right, but failing on fourth down, that's the first instance where you heard the crowd chant "Fire Shula" and really kind of turn on everything, and that kind of set the tone for the rest of the day. And you know, there were a few moments where things popped a little bit, but none of it was sustained from that point forward.
It wasn't. Now, again, I agree with Tyler. The beginning of the game, the first part just took the air out of the stadium. I mean, look, all of y'all have eyes. You're I'll give you credit. You're smart people. You listen to this program. You're smart people. You know, running the football up the middle is not going to work this year. Maybe next year, maybe 2 years from now. I don't know. But this year it's not going to work. And you get down to the goal line, and it's 4th-and-1, and you got a 6'3", 245-pound quarterback who can run 52 yards. 26 to his right, 26 to his left. He can get himself, if he gets in a one-on-one position with a defensive back and most linebackers, he wins.
Yes.
He runs over him, and you don't use him. And you just hand it off. And not only do you hand it off, not only is it, oh, no, you were stopped 2 inches shy, you were stopped like 3 feet in the backfield, and it just, you're right, it deflated. It was very similar. Look, I'm trying to put some numbers together on this because it was very, very similar to the way that Shane Beamer. Now, by the way, let me say this. Let me be clear on this. I liked going for it.
I didn't have a problem with it.
I liked going for it. This isn't a question of should have Shane Beamer taken the points and kicked the field goal. No. I liked going for it. It was the play you ran.
Yeah.
That I was like, oh, that's not good. But to go back to that point, I love the fact that they went for it. But to go back to last year in the Mississippi game, you get the 3-and-out in the Mississippi game. You get the stop, and you get the ball, and literally, I think, at about the same position on the field, the same hash mark. You try a fake punt against Mississippi last year that just, remember, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, you were about, I think it was about their own 40, I want to say, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that also rivals one of the worst performances, I think, of the Beamer era. And
well, that's that's back-to-back years.
Yeah. And that set the tone for the rest of that game, which was awful.
Yeah. Yeah, 27-3, 26-7. You see but to your point or to our point on that, that play by South Carolina, again, I think if you run Lenore Sellers out, let's just say he runs out and he runs towards the goal line in the corner and gets stopped at the half-yard line.
Mm-hmm.
I think people are just like, oh, all right, well, that was the okay. You run Rashad Faison to the left right into 3 different Oklahoma linemen, and that's where fans are just like, guys, this hasn't worked, and it just deflates the crowd.
Well, and again, Shula is going to forget more football in his life than we will ever know. There's a reason why he got all the way to being the head coach at Alabama. You don't get there by not knowing football. But if we as fans and media people just watching the game, consuming it for the purposes of entertainment and enjoying it, can see something's not working, and you continue to go back to that well, that's what drives you crazy. Because, like, I know that's not going to work. Why don't you know that's not going to work?
Well, it's just, and two, for me, there was just no creativity. And I couldn't help but laugh because what was it? It was 2 years ago. South Carolina scored the one touchdown against Clemson where they ran the kind of fake reverse. They ran the reverse.
Yeah, Doty threw it.
He got in. He got in. He had to run around.
That's right. It was
It worked, but I think everybody looked at each other like, "Oh my goodness, that was." But to my point on this, that took the crowd out, and then you kind of lost everybody at that point. Oklahoma goes down, I think scores again at that point. They go up 14-0, and you felt really, really bad about yourself. Let's go to another text. We'll get to this basketball stuff from last night, but let's go to another text and let some of y'all get opinions in here this afternoon. Another texter says to beat Alabama, we would need at least three non-offensive touchdowns. And I'm not one of these people that sits at a game and thinks that. But, Tyler, as the game progressed on Saturday, I actually started to think that.
Yeah.
And that was against Oklahoma. I was like, you got to get one.
That's been, like, my key to the game on half the games this year, and it's going to be every single week going forward on the pregame show is like, yeah, defense or special teams, either A, has to physically score the points themselves or put you in such a good position offensively you have to score, right? Like put you in plus territory, put you inside the other team's 30, where at the very least you're probably getting a field goal out of it type of thing. Like those are must-haves. And again, that's asking a lot. And again, the Clayton White era of defense here, very good at generating takeaways. You obviously didn't do that on Saturday, but yeah, think about that. If you have a pick six in that game or something like that to give you another score and suddenly it's 17-14 going into the fourth quarter, you feel differently about the game, right? You still don't win if that's the only points that you get, but it completely changes the way you look at it and say, okay, if the offense can just put together one stinking drive and find the end zone.
It wasn't a drive. I was sitting there, I think I'd given up on drives. I was sitting there thinking, hit one play.
Yeah, one explosive play.
Just, yeah.
Long run like Fuller had against LSU. A busted coverage where you find Dre Jacobs up the sideline and he takes it the rest of the way. It's something. That's all you would need is one play at that point to take the lead.
803-404-6100. Rooster P from parts unknown, traveling around the country. He sends us a joke. He says, good afternoon from Charlotte. Okay, he's in Charlotte. If South Carolina is getting spanked by halftime, the fans will say they were not clapping, but calling a timeout to look for the exit.
That's good.
Good to hear from you, Rooster P. Hope you're traveling safe out there. Alex goes with, started to give up after losing with chances to win at Missouri. Almost threw in the towel when the same thing happened at LSU. Definitely threw it in thinking what we need is a home game to turn it around, just to have our worst game versus OU. Going to take a paramount upset like Tennessee 2 years ago to win this fan base back. And this is the key word, I think, this season, or else it's lost for the year.
Let me pose a question for those of you on the text line. If you have season tickets or whatever, are you actually not going to go to this game? Is there anybody out there that does not want to attend this game because of the way this team is playing? I'm genuinely curious how many people just opt to say, you know what, I know what's going to happen, I'm not going to show up.
I tell you what, we'll come back to that because I'm going to give you my opinion. We got to hit a break here. 803-404-6100. You're listening to the Halftime Show. Bill Gunner for Old Timey Meat Market, where it is Wednesday night, and that means stopping by Old Timey Meat Market. I did it on a Tuesday night. Picked up a delicious chicken breast last night. Actually tried a different way of cooking it, Tyler. I put it in the skillet for about 5 minutes, and then moved it over to the oven for 425 for 25 minutes, and it was delicious. And while I'm a good cook, the secret sauce here is Old Timey Meat Market, and their incredible cuts of meat and their fantastic prices. So whether you're looking for chicken, whether you're looking for steak, whether you're looking for beef or pork, Old Timey Meat Market has it. Now, I visit the Lexington store. You're going to normally see me there, but you can also visit South Congaree or St. Andrews Road in Irmo. They've got breakfast items. Actually, going to go by today. Stop by Old Timey Meat Market today and find that great dinner for tonight. You won't be disappointed. 12:35 as we get you going on your Wednesday afternoon. Tyler Head, Bill Gunner, Captain Dave Adair. And as we were leaving, Tyler asked a very legitimate question. What's the attendance going to be like? What is your interest in going? Now, that's a different question. For those of you who don't understand and don't understand that question, football's not the way it was 10 years ago or 15 years ago. And here's what I mean by that. It costs a lot of money to go to games, even if you already got season tickets.
Yep.
Even if you already got season tickets, and it's a day's event, like a whole day's event. So, don't get me wrong. I love, now I'm 43, and this couple of health issues right now that we're going to heal from and we're going to get better about. And by the way, I know you heard it. Thoughts and prayers.
Yes, absolutely.
With Jay Phillips and everything going on with him. I texted him yesterday. I know he is concerned, but Jay is going to beat that. It's prostate cancer.
Bladder.
I'm sorry,
yeah.
bladder cancer. Yeah. And Jay is going to beat that. And Lord knows we're going to have Jay Phillips around here for as long as he wants to be here. And he is going to tell us fish stories for as long as you can deal with them. But thoughts and prayers to he and his family. I know that is a difficult diagnosis to take, and again, he is a trooper. I've known Jay. Jay and Heath were the two that welcomed me in here at 107.5 The Game just a little over 9 years ago. And so, again, just he's going to beat it. He's going to win, no doubt about it. I know Jay, he's a fighter, and he is going to win this thing, and we're behind him 110% on this. But I know some of you love going, and you get out there and you get your TV set up and you get your grill set up and you get it's a lot for people. And you know what? The rising cost of ticket prices, everything that goes along with it, Tyler, I can see where season ticket holders are questioning what their question is going to be. A season ticket holder weighs in here. Season ticket holder won't be going in. Gave tickets to a buddy of mine from Charlotte who wants to take his wife and 2 girls into the game. Will be across the street tailgating, betting. There you go. And watching other 3:30 games because this is going to get ugly quick, and I don't want to see it be in a bad mood the rest of the day.
That's another layer to this too. And we talked about it on Monday and Tuesday. It's been such a chaotic college football season. There are so many storylines and great games happening and upsets left and right that when you spend your 3-4 hours at Williams Brice Stadium and you're tailgating or sitting in traffic or whatever, you're missing a lot of great things about this college football season that at this point with this Carolina team, you might say, you know what? I think I'd rather just take in a full day of college football instead of dedicating the time to go to the stadium and be driving back and having to catch highlights and stuff like that instead.
Another texter weighs in and says, I'm 33, and I've been going to every home game since 1999. My dad and I have season tickets in Section 14. I told my wife last night I'm seriously consider staying home, and I never missed a Muschamp game. Kudos to you.
That's going since 99.
Yeah. Kudos to you for never missing a Muschamp game. You deserve a medal. But it says, I truly believe the only reason I feel the way it is because the preseason expectations were so high, and the team is grossly underperforming.
You're not wrong.
That comes from Brent. Thank you for the phone, for the text, Brent. 803-404-6100. Let me get you one more. Jacob says, season ticket holder. Not going, nor am I going to watch it. I'm not going to let it ruin my Saturday when I already know the outcome. So let's go to the phone lines where Clay wants to weigh in. Clay's a season ticket holder. Clay, how you feel right now?
Not great. Not going to lie.
Not good, Bob?
Yeah. Not good. The only reason I'm going this weekend is because, I'm bringing a couple of enemies to the game. Got some buddies that are huge Bama fans and kind of promised that we would tailgate with them and hang out. But otherwise, I'd be just as happy staying home and watching it on TV in the background, to be quite honest.
And as Tyler said, you can change the channel a little bit.
You can. When things go sideways, you got other games on.
You can get up and walk off when you get mad.
Yeah, and like you said earlier, I mean, the cost of the games is getting outrageous, and I sit in the West Lower, and, in a couple of years, they may kick me out, when the renovations come up, unless I pony up more cash and just not able to do it. So I don't know, man. It's kind of in a tough spot, but it'd be a little different if we were competing for championships even every once in a while, but that's not the case.
All right. Well, I appreciate the phone call, Clay. Thank you for listening and tuning in this afternoon.
Clay made mention of the renovations, by the way. Like, prices are going to go up next year.
That's
like,
right.
They have to. That's just the cost of these kind of things happening. And I'm interested to see how that goes over with people if this season continues on the path that it's on right now.
It'll be as new excites people. Put out new Coke, new Pepsi. People buy it. Then they look around.
New Coke didn't go over too well.
Well, they buy it. And then,
for interest, yes.
Yeah, and then they go, I don't know about that. George weighs in. All right, George. George, if you want George's number, I'll give it out. George says, any of these people say they're not going and they want to volunteer to give me their tickets, I'll go. And thanks in advance. If you got tickets you want to give to George, let us know how many tickets you need. Who knows? Maybe we'll be a little bit of a ticket exchange.
You're brokering some deals here. And look, there's a lot of people that still are going to be excited to go, and the atmosphere. It is homecoming too. Don't forget about that. Maybe hindsight being 2020, you shouldn't schedule Bama for that, but there'll be a lot of energy and excitement with that to a degree of people that maybe haven't just been around or been in Columbia in a while. So there's going to be folks there, but maybe some of your more weekly diehards may pass on the opportunity.
Another texter says, I'll be there, but the seats around me, which are the majority season ticket holders, have had a lot of random fans since Kentucky in there. So, I mean, you see, I get it. And to me, it's not your love of South Carolina football. It's not your passion of South Carolina football. We live in a different world where there is so many things to stimulate you on a Saturday. Especially now, look, I just bought a 50-inch, where did I buy? A 50-inch for my daughter, an Insignia 50-inch TV for like $120.
Yeah.
Like 50-inch. She didn't need the bid, trust me.
TVs aren't the mortgage payment they used to be.
No, and I say that because, yes, it's becoming easier and easier. And you just mentioned, and ticket prices are going up and up and up. And we just mentioned it. South Carolina next year, they canceled a game against Miami that, I get it. If South Carolina wasn't playing good, you'd be like, I don't know if I'm going to go to that. I mean, this is Alabama, and Alabama's number 4.
It would have been a fun game to start the year.
But
would have been some energy.
You're going to play, no offense to them, Charleston Southern. Or you're gonna play somebody. It might not be Charleston Southern, but you're gonna play somebody, and it's gonna be a game that you're gonna be excited to go back out because it's the opening game of the season, and our expectations will run high again, but it kind of is what it is. But you're gonna pay top dollar to go see South Carolina play a completely inferior team.
Yes. Pretty much, and there's no way to replace the quality of what Miami would be, and maybe they wouldn't have come in as defending national champions, but still a team that looks like can be one of the better ones in college football this year, and that also takes a little bit of the juice out of what next year's season tickets were offering.
803-404-6100. One more text. Our season ticket holder sold the tickets this weekend after being relocated this season. Probably done with it all. Garnet Trust getting canceled. Gamecock Club getting canceled. Season tickets gone. Why pay more to get less? There's nothing but good money after the bet. We'll get to some phone calls. I see you up there, Brian and John. We'll get to you when we come back to wrap up the hour. It's the halftime show. right, 12:50 here as we wrap up our number one. A little bit of discussion, kind of a Wednesday vibe check almost, if you will, of where everybody's at mentally. We had a text that was like, that's a dumb question. We don't need negativity. People are going. Well,
I'm just honestly curious.
Well, if you've been listening, if you've been paying attention, there's far more saying, nope, may stay home, or I'm giving the tickets away, or doing something than going. And I get it now. It's easy. I will say it's easy to say that on Wednesday at noon.
Sure, your mind can change.
Yeah. Friday, you get geared up a little bit. Weather's nice. I trust me when I say I've been there for that. Let's get to the phone lines. John wants to talk about what success is going forward. John, how you doing this afternoon? What's on your mind? And thank you for calling in.
Hey, I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. Very good.
Good. All right. My question is, I'm an alumni of the university. I'm born and raised here in South Carolina. And I kind of want to be fair. I know everybody can't win. And, I guess our best players are not better than other teams' best players. I would like to know, moving forward, if I'm going to just judge the program, the coaches, give me some characteristics that I should use to, hey, maybe the offensive line, I know we're struggling there. What are the X's and O's that I should look for to judge the program fairly from this point moving forward? I'll have to sit back and listen to that.
Okay. All right. Tyler, you want to start with that?
There's a lot of different ways you can go with that. I think just from a execution standpoint, let's talk about the offensive line for a second here. If you can continue to not shoot yourself in the foot before the snap, that's a plus. You did that this past weekend, which was good. So that's something that I hope you can continue to build off of, not only for this season, but going into next season as well. As far as blocking schemes and stuff like that, because here's the thing, we don't know what the plan is for offensive line coach, right? We don't know if this Sean Elliott thing's just a short holdover. They go out there and hire somebody new. If you told me who the offensive line coach for next year was going to be, I'd give you a better idea of where I'd probably set my expectations at going forward, because it's kind of hard to say that right now. As of right now, it's just trying to keep things afloat as best you can and try and make small incremental improvements, because you're 7 games into the year. You're not going to have these massive swings of difference in how you played in the first 7, how you play in the last 5. That's just not how football works, unfortunately. You just have to hope that you can see small areas in terms of the way they play, the push they're getting up front. Maybe you can find yourself being a decent run team at some point in these next 5 games. Not a great run team, not a good run team, just a decent run team like you saw small glimpses of in the LSU game the other week.
Let's go back to the phone lines. Brian wants to weigh in. Brian, on whether he'll go or not. Brian, how you doing this afternoon? Thank you for calling in. What's on your mind?
Hey, guys, I haven't talked to y'all in a while, but first and foremost, Jay, this is Oilfield Brian, and prayers to you and your family, sir. I'll be thinking about you. Second, I called in right before the season started, and I think it was Jay. I don't remember. I was kind of ridiculed. I actually gave up Silver Spur Gamecock Club membership. Been going for years. Been involved with the Gamecock Club for years and years, done special things with Patrick McFarland back in the day. Heck, I was even lucky enough to be able to put a letter on the away bus to the players one year while Spurrier was there. So I've been around. My family even had a barbecue restaurant across from the stadium. So now this. Everybody is now saying that this is a business. NIL, all of these new construction projects and all this. Well, it's not fair for other fans to say that we're not fans because we give up something when we don't have the proper product. If it's a business, I want a product that is successful and works. Why should I continue to pay good money to have that type of product when I can watch teams like Louisville go and buy the best offensive line in college football a few years ago, and then what Texas Tech is doing now? I don't get it. It's not fair for other fans to call us traitors or we're not true fans when we can look back over our time as fans and show that we are true fans. It's just, there's got to be a balance. I think it's going to work itself out, guys. There's a lot of emotion with what I'm saying. I think it will work itself out. if the fans handle this the right way, because college football is going to have to see, wait a minute, we're running people off. A family of four can't afford this anymore, and it needs to change, guys. And that's just where I stand. I will not go to any more home games with Carolina football. I may go to a bowl game if we ever get back to one, but that's probably it. But that's my 2 cents, guys.
Brian, I appreciate the phone call. Don't be a stranger and call back in more often. That was a good phone call. Hour 2 on the way. 803-404-6100 as we move to hour number 2. Again, a little bit of a slower sports night. Maybe a little bit more of a Halloween movie night.
Yeah, we watched Scream last night while we were eating dinner. So yeah, kind of getting into the Halloween movies for the next week or so.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Scream.
Yeah.
Yep. Never seen all of it.
Not the whole thing. That was my first time watching it all the way through.
Yeah.
Which I know it's a legendary Halloween movie. I should have watched it, 20 years ago or something, but I haven't. So finally did it last night.
Yep. I haven't seen. I don't know. I get very easily caught up on the original Michael Myers
Okay.
Halloween.
Yeah.
I have a bad confession to make.
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay, bad. And I don't know if you know. I assume nobody know. I assume people know this. So I'm watching over the weekend. I'm watching Michael Myers over the weekend, and I don't know how. And I've again probably since middle school. I don't know why I've gotten into that 1978 version, the original Michael Myers. I learned this weekend for the first time that the first one is a two-parter.
Okay.
I thought we had an ending in the first one.
And you never saw the second.
No, I've seen the second.
Oh, you just didn't know it was a...
I don't know if it was something like I would take a break for 30 years, like right at a certain point when he gets shot out the window by Dr. Loomis, and then I would come back and we would be, because it picks up and I had to look it up because, and boy, this would have angered me. For people that really know me and know my patience and everything, the first Michael Myers, the first Halloween was was released in 1978. The next was in 1981.
You're right.
3 years. 3 freaking years. And so over the weekend, I'm watching, and the first one ends, and I mean, I literally questioned, and again, I don't know, maybe it was just the way AMC did it. I don't know. I was unaware of this because, like Dr. Loomis looks out the window at the very end, and Michael Myers is gone, and Laurie Strode, what's her name? I can't remember her name.
Jamie Lee Curtis.
Thank you very much, Captain Dave. Jamie Lee Curtis is crying in the corner, and it kind of fades out. And I was like, well, wait a minute. And then it basically picks up right where that part left off in the second one. And then they go to the hospital, which, as everybody knows, nobody was at the there was 4, the night shift at Haydenfield, or is it Haydenfield? It's Haydenfield, I think. Memorial Hospital had all 4 nurses there guarding all of the patients. And by the way, there was only like 2 patients there. But yeah, I was shy, and I felt awful to have come across this knowledge.
Oh, yeah. Well, at least you learned it eventually.
Yeah.
Isn't 2 made up of leftover pieces from 1?
No. I mean, this is where they track him down, and when you say leftover pieces,
like all the stuff they threw away and didn't put in 1.
The stuff they got cut from 1 to make 2.
Is it?
Where they were like,
I mean, it makes sense to me. I watch it, and it all resonates, and the story comes together, and I'm good with it. But I was stunned to learn that this was a 2-parter, and then I was stunned to learn that it took 3 years to make the second one.
And the third one we don't even talk about because it has nothing to do.
How many are there?
43 or so.
I mean, it's there was a new one that came out when I was in high school, so roughly 90-ish, late 90-ish. That's got Jamie Lee. They all got Jamie Lee Curtis, but it's kind of set at a school, and it's totally different. And it's not totally different. Doesn't he goes into space one time. It's tracking Jamie Lee Curtis, isn't he? I'm just joking about that. I think he goes into space with Freddy or Jason or something. But no, he I was, and apparently, because at the very end of the second one, they do what you would assume. They do what you would assume ends the life of Michael Myers. It just didn't exactly do it. But you learn something new. You learn something new every day.
That's true. At least you eventually figured it out.
And David weighs in. David weighs in and says Halloween 3 is the only one that's really bad because it has nothing to do with Michael Myers. The other texter weighs in and says Scream 3 is my favorite. I actually used to fall asleep.
Ooh.
I actually use it to fall asleep now. It's more funny than scary.
All right. I'll get to that one eventually, I guess.
Okay.
I don't know what kind of dreams you're having if you're falling asleep to that, but okay.
So maybe a night, because again, quiet night, no World Series. World Series gets going tomorrow night. I don't want to toot my own horn, but you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to toot my own horn. I got it right. Blue Jays and Dodgers in the World Series. You were so close.
I was, and that was a fun series.
It was a weird series because you did get a game or two. You got a suspenseful moment or two, but you would get one team would jump out to a lead early.
Yeah.
And then the other team would roar back and kind of blow them out of the water.
Yeah, and even on Game 7 on Monday when Springer hit the 3-run homer, it only put them up by 1, but you kind of felt like, that was probably it. The Mariners got 2 more shots here, but yeah, I don't know. The momentum had shifted so much that it did kind of feel like the game was all but over at that point.
So, yeah, that was certainly a moment. But again, no World Series until Friday night. You do have college football tonight if you want to get into this. I'm trying to look. Is this the beginning of MACtion tonight?
I thought we started MACtion last week. So we got weeknight Conference USA. Got MACtion on Wednesdays. What's our slate?
Give me just a minute. I clicked away from it to look back up something for Halloween. So last night, Kennesaw State 45-26. Your secret love affair school.
Yeah, my spirit animal school. Who?
45-26 there over FIU. Western Kentucky last night holds on in overtime. I'm sure it was a great game. 28-27 over Louisiana Tech.
Yeah, there was I think La Tech missed a field goal right at the end of I think Western Kentucky blocked a field goal at the end of regulation to send it into overtime, if I remember correctly.
And then tonight, not MACtion yet. We're not on to MACtion Wednesdays. Middle Tennessee and Delaware tonight. Missouri State and New Mexico tonight. Now, the other option you got a couple. You got, obviously, NHL tonight. But if the other path you want to go down is the start of the true start. Last night was 2 games. The start of the NBA season truly gets going tonight with a full slate of games.
Yeah, every other team is in action. The other 26 teams, I guess, in action tonight. We're
Charlotte starts their quest to go 0-82.
Oh, the less said about that, the better. But yeah, for whatever your respective NBA team is, tonight's the night to lock in on them and see what the season has in store. I will say last night, and just casually viewing the games, I liked what NBC had to offer. When did they originally stop the NBA on NBC? It was late 90s, right?
Yeah.
So I was not old enough to remember that, but I know it's gotten a lot of the nostalgia people have for it is very strong. And I will say, and I've seen a lot of comparisons made online, it felt like you were watching the finals. It felt like you were watching a very important game. The broadcast was serious, had a great, crew on the call, the halftime show, all that kind of stuff. Like, they treated it really seriously. And look, NBC always does that with all their sports coverage. So it was nice to see that for, the NBA because, again, ESPN's been criticized, and rightfully so, for their lack of emphasis they put on things.
No, and NBC, look, they knew what last night meant. Do I expect them to hold that kind of energy for the next, 6-7 months, however long the season is? No, but you're right. And last night, and look, they get even if you don't like, and I told Tyler this off air, and I'll bang the drum for the NBA because I do get it. There's a lot of us that grew up post the Michael Jordan era. By the way, they had a weird, and I say weird because I think we all expected a full-on interview with Mike Tirico and Michael Jordan. and it was kind of like a clippet of it that they're going to show each week. And we'll get to it. There was a great story on Michael Jordan last night. But with that being said, the game last night, it was really good. Double overtime, Oklahoma City and Houston. And here's how I view this, because Austin, my son, plays basketball. I just bought him NBA 2K. He gets into it. He follows the players. Are there players that you can allow your son or daughter to watch and say, that's a role model?
Yeah.
Now, there's not everyone, though. There's a lot of players in the league.
Sure.
But there's a lot. And Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is one of those guys. And I was telling Tyler off air, I think last night he became my favorite player because he just does things the right way. He doesn't – there was a particular tie-up late in the game, if you remember what I'm talking about, and it got challenged. And most players would have lost their mind. Draymond Green got a technical in, the first 5 minutes last night?
As he does.
First 6 minutes of the Lakers Golden State game. But Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, I feel like you can sit down at night over dinner with your son or your daughter and say, watch that guy and watch how he acts. I'm not even talking about watch how he plays the game of basketball. Watch how he acts on the court. And now he's got a mid-range game that people didn't realize that you're allowed to have mid-range games anymore. But Tyler, there are players in this league that I think you can allow your kids to watch, and it's not just look how good they are, follow their moves. It's look how they actually act.
It's a league full of inflated egos, but that doesn't speak for absolutely everybody. And SGA is one of those guys. He's really, really good, and obviously plays on a championship-winning team now. But he's not one for controversy on the court. Which again, if you're looking at somebody to idolize and look up to, he's probably one of the better examples of that in the league, I would say.
803-404-6100. We'll talk more about that. But so you get NBA, you get NHL. So maybe a movie night. Maybe a movie night tonight. And then, quite frankly, Tyler, I hate to do this. You do get NFL tomorrow night. If you want to go down that path, NFL tomorrow night is Minnesota and the Chargers. The Chargers are completely falling apart. Minnesota's not a lot of fun. You got Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, it's not the same magic they had a year ago with the 14-2 regular season or 14-3 regular season. Sam Darnold doing what he did a year ago. It's not quite the same.
And then college football tomorrow night. You've got you don't have a really much better. We mentioned it. No East Carolina tomorrow night. South Alabama and Georgia State. And with Sean Elliott now back here in Columbia, you don't have that affinity to check out Georgia State. So
you're talking to a Georgia State alumni, sir.
Okay.
I have an associate's degree from that school.
All right.
So I will check out the mess that is Panther football at some point tomorrow night.
There is a reason to have a watch party. Watch the watch party here with Tyler Head watching Georgia State and see if he can make it through that. 803-404-6100 is how you can weigh in. We'll get back into that topic a little bit about Saturday's game because it is kind of a vibe check.
Sure.
It is definitely kind of a vibe check for what we talked about. We spent the whole first hour talking college football and specifically South Carolina and kind of where you stand, where your emotions are with this football team. And we'll get back into that a little bit and get onto a few other topics as well. Yesterday, Shane Beamer spoke. We'll let you hear from him a little bit. It is the halftime show.
Ty right here for our friends over at Pro Swing Columbia. 2 locations in Forest Acres and out in Chapin. The weather's going to start cooling off quite a bit here, which means it won't be quite as fun to be out there on the actual golf course. Well, that's where Pro Swing comes in. They've got golf zone simulators that allow you to play at courses all over the world. You can rent by the hour. They have memberships available as well. How's your swing, by the way? Because they have a free 30-minute swing evaluation, which will give you a detailed blueprint of your swing, as well as a couple pointers to work on and drills as well. They use the OnForm coaching app, which will give you a before and after video of that swing, so you know exactly what you're doing wrong and what you can improve on. You can get discounted rates to practice and play at Pro Swing. If you're actually taking lessons, they also have club fittings and are a tailor-made dealer as well. You can book online at ProSwingColumbia.com or give them a call at 803-592-3916 for more info.
Block it out. If you're spending time listening to that noise, then you're not doing the things that you need to be doing to get better. You're not doing the things that you need to be doing to win. When our players walk out of the locker room each and every day, they see a sign on the door of the locker room that's there permanently that says, starve your distractions, feed your focus. And I love that. I mean, starve your distractions, all the things that are cluttering your mind. Starve it as much as you can and feed your focus. And again, I understand there's noise out there, and there should be. I'm not happy with where we are right now, and I'm going to get it fixed because we got great young men in this program, and as the leader and as the head coach of this program, I realize that I'm letting a lot of people down right now with the way that we're playing. Our players that I feel like I'm letting down, our coaches, our players' families, our coaches' families, the student body, the 80,000 people that pack Williams-Brice Stadium every Saturday, the state of South Carolina, from Charleston to Myrtle Beach to the upstate to the Midlands. There's a lot of people that live and die with Gamecock football on Saturdays, and I get it. They're not happy, and neither am I. And I take that personally because I truly feel like I'm letting a lot of people down right now. And I'm working hard each and every week to try and to get it fixed, making the decisions schematically, personnel-wise, staff-wise, each and every week to get it fixed. And it's a process, but we're going to get it fixed. We're not far off from where we want to be.
Those are the words of Shane Beamer yesterday at his press conference, and you hear him addressing it. Shane hears, he knows. He responded to one of my tweets a couple weeks ago.
Right.
You know, Shane responds to tweets. He responds to what he hears on the radio. Remember the response about when he hired Dow Loggins, and he knew what everybody had said about Dow Loggins. Shane listens, and then not only responds, but that doesn't, and that's great, and that's good, but it's okay, Tyler. Let me read this text to you.
Okay.
Because I think this is an interesting text. Fans should stop being so negative. True or false? And I say true or false, but yes or no on that?
I don't think it's from the standpoint of wanting to be negative necessarily. I think it's because you thought you were getting a certain level of play and level of product that you're not getting anywhere close to as of right now. Because it's one thing, Carolina had plenty of hype in the offseason of, hey, maybe they can make a run at the playoff, maybe Sellers can win the Heisman. And if this team was, we're 7 games in now, if they were 5-2, right? Like, it's not maybe exactly.
I wouldn't even go to say as far as maybe 4-3.
Maybe 4-3. Okay, if you're 4-3, flip thing around. Like, it's not exactly where you wanted to be, but it's not bad, right? And if the offense was out there scoring at a high clip and you lost a couple of shootout games and stuff like that, you'd still feel pretty good about the direction of where things are. And I think this isn't just for this season, but when you're thinking about the future, it's like, man, are they going to keep Shula for next year? Are they going to go on and get somebody else? Is that guy going to be any better than this guy? Like, you almost start forward casting about what this means going forward. And, are you going to lose Sellers? And what's going to happen with Dylan Stewart? Can you hang on to him? Because he's going to be a hot commodity in the portal. I think like this panic sets in about what the current situation means for the future of the program. And I think that's where people's negativity and dissatisfaction really ramps up, because it wasn't supposed to be like this. It was not supposed to be this bad of a season. You could expect they were going to take a little bit of a step back, considering how good last year was and how much talent you lost from that team a year ago, but it was never supposed to be this bad. And again, I think in today's world, and social media probably has something to do with this, we just kind of tend to skew negative anyway, whether we want to or realize we're doing it or not. And I just kind of think you're seeing a culmination of all that with how everybody is dealing with what this season has become.
So what, Dave, let's play number 6. It's a little bit of a longer clip. But now, all right, Shane says, well, what are the steps to getting better? What steps do they need to take to get better? Here he is, Shane Beamer, yesterday talking about the steps to get better.
Yeah, I think it's, it's week to week, it's day to day, it's season to season, whatever. I mean, it's things that I'm looking at each and every day in the short term. It's the decision I made from a staffing standpoint last week or 2 weeks ago to follow up on your question from Saturday. If I felt like more changes on offense were warranted right now and that was best for us, I would certainly do it. I don't right now. And I see what we're trying to do. I see how it's being coached, and I see the people and how they're working, and it's not good enough. But I look at it as, okay, how can I, as the head coach, continue to do the things right now in the short term, meaning in the middle of the season, to fix it. And it might be something from a personnel standpoint, who we're playing with on offense and defense and special teams. It may be something that, as the head coach, I step in and say, from a schematic standpoint, we don't need to be doing this anymore, or we need to be doing this more, or less or more, which I have. We don't need to be doing this as much, or we need to be doing this more. I've done that. And then you're always evaluating, and that's each day, that's throughout the season, and then that's after the season also. And it's like I told our team this morning, Jack, we're 3-4 right now. Nobody's happy, but nobody's coming to save us. What we have on this team is what we are right now, and it's not good enough, but we've got the people, the players, and the coaches to get it right this season. And it's cliche, but it's true. You just go right back to work and just keep trying to get better each and every day.
So there you get what he says, and is he working to? I don't think there's many people out there that are more of a competitor than Shane Beamer. I think he takes losing to heart. I think there's a personal family side to Shane Beamer, and he can talk about letting down. This is me, and I hope I'm not overstepping my bounds with Coach Beamer, but I know this as a father. I feel like there's a personal side to it where he is not just feeling like he's letting down the fan base and the administration, players, and so forth. He's letting down his family.
Sure.
And so there's no doubt in my mind he's trying to do whatever it takes to fix. But I want to go back to the negative question of it's okay to be negative. Now, don't be negative for your whole life.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay to be – when you get beat 26-7, and if we're being dead honest – it wasn't that close. It wasn't 7. When it got to 17-7, Tyler, there was 20 minutes to go in the football game.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the majority of people were like,
well, that's why a lot of people left then, because they knew, hey, this offense isn't capable of overcoming that, so I'll get a jump start on the rest of my Saturday. There's nothing wrong with being negative. And again, our job is to react to what we see here. And that goes back to Monday, where unfortunately we had to react to a lot of negative because there wasn't a whole lot of positive to spin out of that loss. And I'm afraid we might be a similar spot come Monday after playing Alabama too. I hope not, because it's a lot more fun when we can talk about a good team, a winning team. Last year was a lot of fun, especially when you thought the team had a shot at the playoff. And that's obviously not going to be the case this year, and you hope the things that Beamer is saying, which we can all roll our eyes on, say it's coach speak and whatever, do come true, where they do figure something out and salvage whatever they can out of this season.
I'm okay. I mean, again, within reason, within complete reason, I'm okay with negativity. Negativity is what pushes. If it wasn't for negativity, Billy Napier probably still at Florida.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
Billy Napier's probably still. If it wasn't for negativity, Brent Pry is probably still at Virginia Tech right now. It wasn't like he was doing awful.
Exactly. And look, Coach Beamer, his assistants, the players are all getting compensated very well for what their roles and what their jobs are. And when you're not seeing the results, you're going to feel, whether you're the one paying into it or not, you're going to feel, hey, you're not living up to the standard of what we expect out of you and what you're essentially getting paid to do.
803-404-6100. I see you all on the phone line. We'll get to you when we come back. And there has also been, during this segment, and I didn't want to interrupt, some massive college and Major League Baseball breaking news. And we will tell you about that when we return. You're listening to the Halftime Show. 1:34 on Wednesdays. I feel like we're having a little bit of a frank discussion. It's okay to have a honest discussion when your football team's 3-4. Expectations were much higher. I don't think that means let me be very clear on this. I don't think that carries over to next year. I don't think that I think you're viewing it the entirely wrong way if you go, well, 25 is not good, 26 is going to suck, and 27 is going to be awful. Football and basketball, and we haven't even gotten into it. There was some basketball last night over at Colonial Life Arena that apparently was very impressive. But it's a year-to-year basis. I don't know what South Carolina could look a lot. South Carolina could go hit the transfer portal and have a ton of success next year and be a totally different team. South Carolina could lose a lot of players next year. You could be without Lenore Sellers and Dylan Stewart and Nick Harbor and so forth. And so we don't know. And so I'm not, to be upset right now, I don't know. Where do you draw the line in upset and negativity? That's a really good question. Beth from Lamar says, and Beth, good to hear from you. And again, I hope we hear you on Carolina Calls again this week. Says, I think the negativity started after the bowl game last year. Then we had a bad men's basketball season. And then even Dawn Staley had a less than perfect year. And we see that coming again. And baseball wasn't good.
It's been a bad year for men's sports, unfortunately.
It was. I tried to explain that to Terry back in like the kind of like April, May, that you didn't realize it as it was happening. But you're like, man, first part of this year was not good.
No, it didn't give it. You never want to get to the point where the teams aren't worth talking about. And look, football's obviously the cash cow in America in general. So no matter how good or bad the team is, it's always going to be worth talking about. But it really got to the point with the baseball team where you're just like, what do you say at this point? Like, what do you even say about this team getting swept in another series and not even being close, or the basketball team losing by 20 or 30 points, on a Tuesday night? Like, it just became so repetitive, they weren't worth talking about. Thankfully, I know it's a down year. You still made the national championship with the women. Like, that's worth something, even though you came up short. But, it's been 2025's been a rough year.
A texter weighs in, sometimes being realistic comes off as being negative. We're calling it like we see it. Walt weighs in on Coach Beamer and what he had to say in the previous comments that we played in the previous segment. Says, for someone who preaches to block out distractions, he sure has a hard time doing it himself. He needs to do it publicly as well.
Get where you're coming from.
803-404-6100. One more texter. Going back to what I was saying about year to year, yes. Wouldn't every team nowadays have the same concerns? Yes, I think there are a few that don't. Georgia doesn't. Texas doesn't. I think Alabama does not. Alabama, obviously we're going to see them this weekend. I think Alabama's turning the corner back to being Alabama. Oregon right now is not. But there's few and far between in teams that don't have to that aren't necessarily as worried. But I mean, look at okay, I'm doing this off the top of my head.
Okay.
So I may be wrong. But when I talk about, Tyler, when I talk about year-to-year basis, can you name the last Ohio State quarterback to play back-to-back years? Now, some of y'all might come to you just very quickly.
Playing back-to-back years as the starter. Saying this year, Howard last year. Did Stroud not start multiple seasons?
But how long ago is it?
It's been a couple of years, if that is who I'm thinking of as the last one to start multiple seasons.
That would be the one. This year's saying.
Mm-hmm.
Last year was Will Howard.
Yep.
Kyle McCord was ahead of him,
and
then it was Stroud, who only started 2 years.
Yep.
And then it was Justin Fields for 1 year.
Yep.
And then it was, God, now this makes me feel just old. And then it was Dwayne Haskins.
That's right. Yep. That was his second year would have been, 18. Am I thinking right? Did Justin Fields start 2 years or 1 year?
It's got him listed as a one-year starter.
Okay, that 2020 season when they made the national
2019.
championship. Yeah,
Maybe 2020. Doesn't.
it was 2020 because they made the national championship.
Okay, maybe it's a year off here on this.
Yeah. I mean, God, JT Barrett started for them for like 4 years. That was a decade
Yeah,
ago.
JT Barrett started 3 different years, 14, 16, and 17.
Okay.
And then Cardell Jones came in for a year.
Well, he didn't start that full season. He started
Exactly.
those couple games and then got, I think, the first start the next year.
What was the quarterback they had? The other guy that was supposed to be the big-time quarterback, and then they moved him.
Braxton Miller,
Braxton
man, the
Miller.
wide receiver.
Yeah,
Because he got hurt
yeah,
early in that championship year.
yeah. But it just, again, that's,
yeah.
that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. 803-404-6100. So I mentioned, and I'm just Tennessee is verifying this. Tennessee is verifying this. I don't think I have seen anything from the San Francisco Giants, Tyler, to my knowledge. Yeah, this might be it right here. No. Let's see here. Tennessee is verifying that Tony Vitello has informed Tennessee and the players and the assistant coaches he will be taking the San Francisco Giants baseball head coaching manager position.
That's huge. This is something we talked about a little bit with Jamie Radford yesterday. This is very unprecedented. We don't really see
No,
this.
it's not. You're right.
You see guys go from college to NFL and vice versa, go from college basketball to the NBA and vice versa, but rarely, and you'll have, as assistants, pitching coaches, that kind of stuff, okay, but rarely ever do you have a manager get hired from the coaching ranks of college like this. And again, Tony Vitello, he's a really good college coach. National champion, speaks for itself. And look, if you're Vitello, I get it. The pros are calling. A historic franchise like the Giants want you to lead them. That is hard to say no to. This does certainly throw a wrench into the Tennessee baseball plans. The pictures yesterday of him at one of their scrimmages, and again,
He didn't know what to do.
You're in the midst of your fall season right now. Gamecocks playing over at Founders Park. I think right now we're coming up in a couple hours doing their fall scrimmages. So you're ramping up to your season starting here in a couple months, and now they're going to have to navigate it without who they thought their head coach was going to be.
Yeah, the San Francisco, by all the accounts, and again, I have not seen anything from San Francisco. Everything that I would say is more college-related is reporting this. Tennessee reporters are reporting this, but I've not seen anything official from, like, say, the of course, by the way, it says they're finalizing deals for a contract, so that also might
That means within the next 24 hours we'll probably get something official.
But apparently, to go back to your point, San Francisco wanted an answer by the weekend, and just quite frankly, Tony Vitello could not give it. He was actually, as you mentioned, at the scrimmage. I do feel for him because he's really rebuilt that program, and you could tell his heart was in it.
Sure.
This might be too good of an opportunity to turn down.
This is so unprecedented. If you're in that situation, how do you say no to it? How do you say no to the San Francisco Giants wanting you to be their manager? Good for him, obviously, and his record at Tennessee speaks for itself. And I don't know, if this works out, does that kind of start a trend? Does that maybe open up the door for more college coaches to make that jump? We'll see.
I think you got to be a little forward thinking on it, but yeah, I do think it does. And you're right that we've seen NBA coaches make the jump. We've seen NFL coaches make the jump. In my lifetime, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, 803-404-6100. I don't think I've ever seen a baseball coach go from coaching college baseball to coaching Major League Baseball. Kendall Rogers, real quick, with some notes on this, says Tony's camp and the Giants had been talking for at least a couple weeks. The Giants originally wanted a decision this past weekend, but with Tony undecided, that deadline was pushed back. Tony finally made a move after being courted by Texas A&M to some degree the past 2 summers. He was very committed to Tennessee, but this was an opportunity he cannot turn down. The Giants hope Vitello can work some of the same magic he worked at Tennessee. And Bob Melvin, the previous Giants manager was making $4 million a year. Very curious to see what Tony's contract is. We'll wrap up our number 2 when we come back. It's the halftime show. I'll wrap it up. Hour number 2. Tyler Head, Captain David Dare, and Bill Gunner as we have just kind of giving you the news, again, being reported out of Tennessee. Head baseball manager Tony Vitello taking the job with the San Francisco Giants now. Or that's the way it appears. They're finalizing a contract. No official word from the Giants just yet, but Tennessee is reporting that Vitello has indeed informed administrators, players, coaches, everybody that would need to be informed that he is leaving for the Bay Area and will be taking the San Francisco job moving forward. We've also talked a lot about South Carolina football today, and it's a vibe check. Normally we don't do a vibe check on a Wednesday, Tyler, but it's been a bit of a vibe check, and we'll do more of that coming up in hour number 3. We'll also get into some big picture college football coming up in hour number 3. But last night over at Colonial Life Arena, you had a little bit of not Midnight Madness, but you had a
Garnet and Black Madness.
Well, Garnet and Black Madness, yeah. You had a good little event, a good little turnout, and I think a great way to showcase the basketball teams, plural, both men's and women's.
Yeah, really cool. It looked like the place was pretty packed out. You had the various all-star game type of dunks and three-point contest, got to introduce the players and all that kind of stuff. Jack did tell me that the women's team got more cheers than the men's did, which that makes sense. But got to meet some of the new players, all that kind of stuff. And again, for the men's team specifically, you're going to see a lot of faces that you did not see a year ago. So bring your little press guide in with you to make sure you know who's what number and all that kind of stuff. And then you had the Waka Flocka concert afterwards that seemed to be pretty fun from the videos I saw. I think he was judging the dunk contest too. So seemed like a fun night.
Yeah, so basketball is 2 weeks away. Officially, basketball season is 2 weeks away from yesterday. South Carolina will get going on that particular Tuesday night, and it should be – we've had Lamont Paris on. We've kind of brushed on South Carolina basketball for just a bit. We know there's nobody denying it's not a massive year. You know, one thing about last night, and I know Dawn Staley's big behind this, and I know Lamont Paris doesn't mind it, although we know Lamont's a little bit more quiet and kind of secluded. How do I say this without offending anybody? And this is not an offense to Ray Tanner. This is not an offense to Ray Tanner. Jeremiah Donati is going to care more about South Carolina basketball. Now, we all cared about women's, but he is going to care more about South Carolina basketball than I think an AD we've had since Eric Hyman.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at it, obviously, men's basketball is the more revenue-generating sport compared to women's, and we love women's basketball, but the numbers are obviously different there, and it benefits you even more for having a better men's basketball program. And, again, the women are always going to be towards the top of their respective game, but we want to see the men get back up there and at the very least make the tournament again this year, which I feel like is going to be very, very important for Lamont Paris to do. And, hopefully it happens.
Yeah, again, they'll open. Now, by the way, they have an exhibition game this coming Sunday. As far as I know, everything I've seen, it will not be televised. It's just an exhibition game. But it'll be in Greensboro, North Carolina, and it'll be against new North Carolina State head coach Will Wade and the Wolfpack. Details are not supposed to leak out on South Carolina's secret scrimmage from Saturday. Some coaches take that very, very seriously. Some not so much worried. But the word is South Carolina beat Georgia Tech in an actual, even though it was a scrimmage, they played an actual type game, basically your rotation against their rotation. And South Carolina won by 17, and Michi Johnson had 17 points and was a very good-looking player. Mongolian Mike, we'll just stick with that.
Easier to say.
Yeah, also had a very good game on Saturday. I'm intrigued. I have zero clue. If you were to say right now, Bill, make a prediction, what do you think? I don't think they're an NCAA tournament team. I don't think they are. But I don't know what they are, if that makes any sense.
I don't think any of us do. We don't know enough about this. We can look at what those individual guys did coming in from the portal at their respective prior schools, and even some guys like Eli Ellis and what they did in high school, and maybe get an idea. But until we see the games actually start, and really the conference games start. Because, again, we talked to Paris the other week. You set your schedule up, non-conference schedule up well to benefit you. Really, it's the turn of the calendar. That's when we really kind of figure out what this team is and if you can stay afloat in a maybe even tougher SEC than a year ago.
I don't think it's a tougher SEC. I don't think it's much easier, though. The high-end talent isn't going to be there. We'll talk more about that. We'll get back into South Carolina football, but we'll also start to look big picture around the college football world. It is the Halftime Show. Bill Gunner for Mid-State Roofing, where they've been the leader for 30 years in the roofing and waterproofing industry. Now, how do you become a leader for 30 years? You do it with customer service. And at Mid-State Roofing, they understand that roof needs to keep your operation, whether it's your home or your business, dry and running long into the future. And they're willing to help you, and it doesn't matter where you're at as you're listening in this great state this afternoon. You might be in Charleston. You might be in Aiken. You might be in Florence or Columbia. You might be anywhere around here. Mid-State Roofing is ready to help you, and they're ready to do that 24 hours a day, and they're ready to do that 7 days a week. You give them a phone call tonight at midnight because you discover a leak. You'll speak with an on-call technician. Call them tomorrow. You'll speak with a Mid-State Roofing employee. 803-356-1919. That's Mid-State Roofing. Final hour of the Wednesday program, and then we'll turn the calendar to Thursday. We'll really get into Alabama tomorrow. That was kind of our plan, and then we went down a path just on where your, I don't want to say your interest is. There's a difference to me, Tyler, in saying I don't want to go to the game. I don't want to go sit in the game, and I want to watch it from home on my couch. There's a significant difference, and that's not apathy, and that's, I don't even call it negativity, but to me there's a significant difference in saying I would rather be at the house with people or go to an establishment, or, it's going to be a nice weekend. I'd rather go to Charleston or Myrtle Beach or Savannah and take in the game from down there. I don't feel like wasting my money and my whole day to go out there and tailgate, and who knows what's going to happen.
There's a difference in decreased interest and not caring, which I feel like is what we're kind of talking about here, where, there's a lot of people that, as they said on the text line and stuff, say, I'm still going to watch the game, but I'll be at home. That way, if it goes sideways, I can just turn it off and go watch another game or do something else on my Saturday, and now I have to still be stuck at the stadium or on the fairgrounds or whatever it may be, as opposed to, and look, there are some people that said they weren't going to watch it, but people are like, all right, I'm just not going to watch another game this entire year. Call me next August when the new season rolls around, and we'll go from there. Like, that's when people stop caring, right? Like, people still want you to be successful, and people still support you, but they're just displeased with the product you're putting on the field, and thus aren't going to want to see it in person as much.
And then you get people, and this is dumb, and this is ridiculous, and I know that not many people showed up, but yesterday over on the campus, there was break it down to me, because it was so stupid that I ignored it, but...
Dave, can we get a little bit of sound? Cut number 25, please.
Fire Shula! Fire Shula! Fire Shula! Fire Shula! Fire Shula! Fire Shula! Fire Shula!
So that was about, I don't know, a couple dozen students walking down Green Street, apparently, with the protest. That there was a flyer that went making its rounds on Gamecock Twitter of promoting this thing happening on Tuesday, 3:00 over there on Green Street, and you had a little crowd show up there, but it was not the masses I think some people thought it was going to be. But it if nothing else, it just echoes the frustration that fans feel right now, to feel like, whether how big or small that ended up being, the need to have a quote-unquote protest against your offensive coordinator.
That's dumb. It's dumb.
No, nobody expected that to do anything, right?
No, right.
If anything, it's college kids attempting to be funny. Like, hey, what if we protested Mike Shula? Not thinking like, hey, Shane's going to have to get out there and address these guys. Shane's going to have to make a comment on this. Like, I don't think anybody expected it to go that far. I do think the number of people was maybe a little bit lower than some might have thought. Maybe get 100 people out there or something like that, but didn't end up being the case, it looked like.
Yeah, I just, come on, it's Tuesday. Go find a restaurant and have an afternoon beverage. Mike Shula's not been good. And there is nobody, well, none of us, that would question that otherwise. But Mike Shula's not been good. But this is not what you don't do this. And I know it's students. You don't do it whether you're not students or students. This is not what you do. Thankfully, it was very few, and it has little to no impact at all.
Let Bill sneeze for a second here. But, yeah, it just kind of echoes the sentiment that this fan base seems to have right now with Mike Shula. And going back to our conversation a little bit earlier, I think for the people that are going to be in attendance upcoming weekend, I think there's a good segment of those people that are going in there with the attempts of voicing their displeasure as well. Because, again, you're playing the number 4 team in the country that, if you've checked odds lately, has the second best odds to win the national championship in Alabama. And this could be another game that Carolina loses by by quite a bit. And I imagine there's probably more than a handful of people that look at this as an opportunity to say, hey, when things start going sideways, there's another chance for me to continue to, voice my displeasure about what I'm seeing, hoping that sends a message. And, Beamer and the players and everybody, they can talk about blocking out the noise, but it is impossible to ignore when you are standing down there at field level, hearing a lot of people around you in the stands chant about your starting or your offensive coordinator and how displeased they are with him. And again, I'll go back to the conversation that we keep having where I don't expect a move to be made in season. And here's the thing, we're only privy to what Beamer and the assistants tell us publicly in front of microphones, right? We don't know what happens behind closed doors. We don't know what those meetings look like and how heated they get or whatever. And I find it hard to believe that Shane Beamer's just sitting there twiddling his thumbs while these meetings are taking place, saying, everything's great. Shula's doing a great job. I'm not worried about it. I imagine there's been some probably pretty spirited debates between those two about where the offense is, what they can do, and all that kind of stuff. But again, I think you're in a situation right now where you just kind of unfortunately have to ride it out for the rest of the season because I don't know who would step in and do that. You can make the argument of, okay, it can't get any worse, right? Yeah, maybe not. And I think there's a belief as well. And going back to what Beamer had to say yesterday in terms of trying to figure it out and doing everything they can to try and get this turned around, there's probably a good amount of belief in him that, hey, I still believe that Shula can be the guy for this job. I just need to see it happen. You got potentially a 5-game sample size left to make that happen. Well, again, will it? I don't know. I would lean towards no because at this point in the year, you're so deep into things that you can't suddenly change all of a sudden, but we'll see. And again, Beamer doesn't have to tell us his inner thoughts on these kind of things. He could be thinking completely differently of what he says when he speaks into the microphone, but we have to deal with what we have as of right now, and that includes Mike Shula likely being your OC for the next 5 games to close out the season. And if you're a fan and you do see things make small improvements, you can be encouraged by that. Still maybe want the guy gone, thinking somebody else would be a better fit for the OC job. But I guess the point we're trying to get to here is you never want fans to be actively rooting against your team. When they see something they don't like, they can voice their displeasure. That's fine. But we obviously don't want people going into Williams-Brice Stadium actively not wanting to see this team be successful.
No, and that goes back to the negativity. Sorry about that, by the way. Had a complete breakdown there. That goes back to what we were talking about negativity. It's okay to be down. It's all right to.
And if you see something you don't like, reacting accordingly. And that's human nature.
It's the way that things work these days. I got it. With that being said, now let's just hypothetically speaking. Now you can make a change at any time.
Sure.
Shane Beamer can make a change at halftime of the Alabama game on Saturday.
Yeah,
he could, I guess, look at Mike Furry or Sean Elliott and be like,
You called the plays.
And maybe,
but you two work together and call the plays. I don't know.
And maybe we don't know. Highly doubt he comes out for the ABC interview at 3:30 and goes, we've made a change. Right?
Right.
But if you were going to make a change, generally speaking, it would be during the bye week.
Yes.
That would be post-Mississippi, which means in 2 weeks from now.
Right.
That gives Mike Shula 8 quarters to get it fixed. Do I think there's going to be a change this year? No, I'm with you. And so you deal. It stinks to say this. You deal with it. You deal with it.
Until told otherwise, that's your offensive coordinator, and that's just, it is what it is. You got to hope for the best, and we'll see.
Yeah, you deal with it. And then, now this is the different part, you hope the fallout is not great come December.
Like from a full team standpoint?
I love the wide receivers. I hope that 3 or 4 don't go, you know what? This isn't working. Jamal House, 4-star tight end earlier this week, decommitted. His quote, I want to go somewhere where they can get me the ball. Now, I will say this for Jamal House, and as someone who's done recruiting and who can kind of read the landscape here, Jamal House's other offer is Coastal Carolina. Okay? Appalachian State's interested. Florida State, there's some schools that are interested, but his only other committable offer is Coastal Carolina, which at times can indicate that Jamal House has been told, you've got time. You need to look around and discover another university that might fit your needs better. So I'm not going to say it's all on South Carolina and Mike Shula and Jamal House. What I am going to say is that still that was his quote. But with that being said, you hope that Lenora Sellers, whatever happens, look, I don't know if we're just writing off Lenora Sellers as gone after this.
And again, there's no telling what kind of draft grade he would get, but with the season not being what any of us thought it were, certainly Lenora Sellers, then there's always possibility. Look, I never say never in today's world of college football, especially with the money that quarterbacks especially can make. And look, it's not never going to compare to an NFL contract, but say you're being looked at as a third, fourth round pick. It's like, all right, I can go take that third, fourth round deal, which is a lot less money than the first round, or I can come back to college, develop a little bit more, and still make a couple $1 million. Yeah, I think I'll do that. And I'm not saying that's what's options on the table for him, because we went over it last week. There's still a lot of really high draft picks and projections for him, but maybe internally he thinks that he still needs development, and maybe that could be the reason for coming back. We don't know. It's impossible to say at this point in time. The season's obviously not been what you wanted it to be, and certainly if he was out there flirting with the Heisman Trophy, you would say, okay, yeah, he's definitely gone. He's proven himself. He looks great. The scouts are drooling over him, all those kind of things. But at this point, who knows?
Well, let's say he also, maybe even in losing efforts, could have like 12 touchdowns and 2 interceptions.
He could.
Over the last 5 games. And people, right now I feel like he would be drafted based on potential.
Yes.
Not on whom he is and what he is currently doing. But that's my point, is I hope that whatever occurs with the Mike Shula situation does not create fallout for the 2026 season. 803-404-6100. So here's a great question that Tyler poses. Think about this. Do a little homework here in the next 4 minutes. What are the goals for the next 5? Don't give me just, win the game. I got that. But what are the realistic goals for the final 5 games? What are we looking for in the final 5 games? You're listening to Tyler Head, Bill Gunner, Captain David Ayer. It is the Halftime Show. Bill Gunner for the mortgage guru, Jacob Crowder himself. That's right, over there with First Palmetto Bank. Jacob's the mortgage guru in the market. I know to be a fact because, again, just over 5 years ago, he helped put me in a great condo on Lake Murray. But most importantly, what he did was find me a great interest rate, help keep my down payment down, help find everything that I needed to make this investment work, and he can do the exact same thing for you. And with the interest rates lowering right now, it is the time to contact Jacob Crowder. 803-719-1005. Again, that's 803-719-1005. That's how you can reach out to him. He's ready to help you. And at First Palmetto Bank, they got local decision makers, which means quick and precise underwriting. Don't wait another day. Call Jacob Crowder, the mortgage guru, today. Tell him Bill Gunner sent you. 2:18 on a Wednesday. We will turn the calendar fully to Alabama tomorrow. And Heisman frontrunner? Heisman frontrunner Ty Simpson?
Yeah, make a pretty strong case for it. I know we gave our September Heisman a couple weeks ago, and I think we both agreed on Dante Moore, which he's still having a really good season, but especially for what Ty Simpson's done against ranked opponents the past 4 weeks. Only one pick on the season. I was looking up, leads the SEC in touchdown passes and second in overall yards. Like, he's cooking, man. He beat those game manager allegations pretty quickly this year.
Oof, yeah, he is dangerous, and we'll get a up close and personal view Saturday afternoon starting at 3:30. Let's get to the phone lines. James wants to weigh in. Speaking of quarterbacks, wants to weigh in on Cutter Woods. James, how you doing? What's on your mind?
I'm doing all right today, guys. I will answer the question. What should be our objective over the next couple of games or our series of 5 games here? We need to average 24 points. If we do that, and that's a stretch right now, we might be able to compete. But what I'd really like to talk about is, if we come out, I want to challenge Shane to conjure up his inner Steve Spurrier. And, if we have 2 flat series where Lenore's sitting seeing the field well and he's staring down open wide receivers, and maybe we need to change it up and just throw in a backup quarterback in there for a series or 2, see if we can kind of spark some enthusiasm within the team. I'm definitely not saying Cutter is the answer at all, but when he came in there Saturday, they were still blitzing, and he was getting rid of the ball, guys. And good or bad, the offense was moving, and I think the interception was on the receiver as far as not making the right cut. But, doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result, is insanity. And that's what we're doing here, and we just need to change it up, just see what happens. I mean, give me your thoughts on that. We can't we can't score any less points than we are now, I would think. So, have a great day, guys. Take it easy.
Well, thank you for the phone call, James. Let's not say that. They can go down. This is the worst offense since 1999 in that Lou Holtz group that I think played 5 starting quarterbacks. That was quite a year, Tyler. I remember that. That was my senior year in high school. And I remember the excitement for Lou Holtz and how quickly that dissipated. But that dissipated that dissipated that year, but then it came back the next year, much like we're talking about here with this year. But I'll say this for what James says. I'm not against it. I just, at this point in time, 7 games in, the offense is what it is. And it's not, here's the thing, it's not 7 games in, it's 8 games in because of the bowl game as well.
Sure.
It's 8 games in. And, do I like taking Lenore Sellers, who's the best player on the field, out of the game? No. But giving Cutter Woods a few plays here or there. Aaron Nolan, we haven't seen enough of Aaron Nolan. I don't know if Aaron Nolan's I don't get the impression that he's going to be the guy.
Cutter getting to play last week, I think, was a very much a moment for a lot of people, because that might tell you something. Maybe it doesn't tell you anything. Maybe it's like, hey, Aaron Nolan's played some, let's get Cutter some snaps. But I think a lot of people read between the lines on that to some degree. And we'll see if that ends up being true or not. To me, things have to be really, really bad with Lenore Sellers for me to want to take him off the field, because we know what he's capable of. You know what I mean?
Don't take him off. I'm not – look, what I am saying is, and where I can kind of go with James, a series. Now, if Cutter Wood scores a touchdown, and then you want to go back with him, and he scores a second touchdown, and you want to go back with him, he scores a third. You see what I'm saying? Like, okay. All right, at least I'm on board with that. I am not saying that Lenore Sellers, that this is not only a benching, but like he comes out for multiple series. And it doesn't hurt. I don't think it hurts for Lenore Sellers to go stand on the sideline for what you would hope is 7 or 8 plays and a touchdown, but to stand on a couple and watch the defense in real time and go, oh, I see here what's happening. Like I'm with you.
Yeah.
It's really I get it. It's really dumb to take your best player off the football team. The one that, quite honestly, if he's not out there and they blitz, good grief, look out. But I kind of, at this point, and this isn't even about Cutter Woods getting experience. It's kind of about just seeing, all right, what happens when we put another guy in.
Yeah, and look, I'm not opposed to throwing things at the wall and seeing what sticks, which
Tyler,
at this point.
If let's be honest, if Nick Saban doesn't change from Tua, was it Jalen to Tua?
Jalen to Tua, the
I
national
mean,
championship.
I
yep.
mean, that's one of the most insane things ever. I'm not, again, saying that Lenoris needs to come out for, for 2 series. That's where I'm going with this.
Yeah, again, because I think the problems with the offense, not necessarily the Norris itself. Now, he's making his own mistakes within the offense, but I think it's more of a not fitting in what's attempting to be done, and obviously not having as much help around you as you need, as a problem is saying, well, I just don't think Lenoris Sellers has it anymore. Because, again, we know what he's capable of, and I'd be hard-pressed to think, and I get it, it's a different look, different type of quarterback. I'd be hard-pressed to think that Cutter Woods suddenly sparks something. Again, no options are bad at the end of the day when the offense is as bad as it is. So I see where you're coming from on that, but it would take a lot for me. And the game the other day, it was out of reach, garbage time, don't want people to get hurt. Like, that made total sense. But, if we're talking like the second quarter and Alabama's only up by 10 or something like that, that's a different story.
And also, where's the ball on the field?
Yeah, and then have you scored yet? There's a difference between being down 20-10 and being down 10-0.
I would be okay seeing Cutter Woods for a series, not for the game. Lenoris Sellers is the starting quarterback. Lenoris Sellers is the face of this program. Lenoris Sellers, again, is the best player offensively on this football team. But one series standing over there and watching, I could kind of be like, all right, okay, I understand kind of what you're doing there. Let's see what it is. Let's get to some of these text messages here that are coming in. And number one texter says, and this is another thing just about Cutter Woods, he says, no way Sellers is coming back to South Carolina. He might transfer, but no way his parents allow him to come back here when he gets no blocking and uncertainty about play calling. His draft status hasn't dropped because pros. He has no physical tools. He has physical tools, but on a bad team with bad coaching.
Predicting the portal and people's movements is the most impossible thing in the world. I have no clue what anybody's going to do in the offseason. We'll see.
Yeah.
You're not wrong for thinking that, but
remember Carson Beck entered the draft.
He went to the draft
and then
transferred. So nothing is off the table here. I get where you're coming from with that, and if something like that were to happen, I could see why it would happen, but I can't this far out predict anybody's movements in the portal and what's going to happen. I hope that's not the case, but I could see how you'd come to that conclusion.
Let's see, another texter weighs in. Goals for the football team is to have to develop young guys and give us hope for 2026.
That's part of it. If you have guys that are definitely going to be here next year, and again, it's hard to predict the portal, but that crop of younger guys certainly need to be getting snaps when they can. And again, if you have somebody that's capable of playing, they're probably already on the field anyway, with how just things are going as of right now. And I don't think you're quite to that point yet in terms of 5 games to go. But if you were to get to the last 2 games, having lost the next 3 in a row, where you're actually not playing for anything, and then I think you can have more of a conversation of like, all right, now we're really, because you're not going to have a bowl game at that point, because that's what bowl games become, is kind of your dress rehearsal for next season,
right.
Kind of what spring games used to be.
That would be the Cutter Woods show, likely.
Yeah, something like that. That makes more sense, because then you really are turning the page. And again, if you are in a situation where you already have 7 losses going into Coastal and Clemson, then maybe that's a little bit more realistic, but I don't think you're quite there yet.
Walt has a good list here. 5 goals for 5 games, and this is Walt, so let's see what you think. Show passion and toughness. These players don't even look like they enjoy the game of football.
Fair.
Okay, that's number 1.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Number 2, make a bowl game. That was
harder,
tough.
but sure, that's a goal.
3, realistic, score more than 17 offensive points in all 5 games.
We might have to throw a parade if it happens.
Definitely do that. Number 4, get the ball to the freshman wide receivers more.
I think that goes back to the development part there. I could see.
And number 5 is a good one, beat Clemson.
Yeah,
So-
if nothing else, beat Clemson. They're having an equally bad time in the upstate.
Jeff says, what I need to see the next 5 games is offensive points and utilizing our players' abilities. Stop running the ball at the middle. Jeff, we're all with you on that. Roll the pocket, play action. You have a generational talent at QB, and Shula is wasting his talent with horrible play calling, continuing the improvement on pre-snap penalties. That was the silver lining. On
That was, and that's something that I feel like you can hopefully keep going. And look, with the plays, again, we've seen the same, as you joked about the other day, 3 plays over and over again. If they, you run about 55, 60 plays a game. If they ran 55 trick plays on Saturday, I wouldn't be mad at it because at least you're trying something and trying to do something different because at this point, again, you're scraping the bottom of the barrel in terms of trying to improve.
803-404-6100. We'll come back, read a few more of these, and we'll get into some NFL discussion. Boy, poor Justin Fields. Just wanted to go play for the Jets, and they're constantly throwing him under the bus. We'll let you hear about that. It's the halftime show. 2:35 on a Wednesday. A little bit of a slower Wednesday. We had a nice quiet sports night, unless you wanted to get into the NBA last night, in which both games pretty entertaining, especially game one.
I didn't make it to the end of the second one, a little bit late there, but yeah, double overtime in game one with the Thunder the Rockets, and again got an opportunity to see the new era of NBA on NBC, and I thought they did a really good job. And you brought up a point earlier. Hopefully they can sustain that, and it wasn't just a, hey, let's give our best showing right out of the gate, because I thought the presentation was done well. The Michael Jordan interview series was interesting. It's not what I expected. I heard he was going to be some form of contributor, and I thought that was going to be in a more like analytic role, not calling games, but some kind of point where, hey, maybe it's on the halftime show or something. But I think we're going to get like a broken up series with this interview that Tirico did with him at his house, is what it appears like.
I don't know what I want to hear from Michael Jordan. Like, when you do an in-depth interview with you, what do you want to hear? I mean, I guess, I'm being serious, I guess, and he wouldn't do it, but I'd be like, hey, so you gambling in Atlantic City at 4 a.m. before a Knicks game.
I don't think it's one of those kind of things.
Give me the back. I know, but I'm just saying, because, like, you know, there's people, there's celebrities, athletes you want to hear from. And no offense, I love the Dan Le Batard show, because he would have on celebrities and he would get into uncomfortable topics like their drug addictions. He did that with Matthew Perry, unfortunately, one time, and I think Matthew Perry hung up. But it was fascinating radio, and it's fascinating radio to hear people talk about going down a deep, dark path.
Sure.
Or fascinating interviews to hear people talk about going a deep, dark path, but then bouncing back and recovering their life. And with Jordan, I don't know what I would want to know in an interview. Now, he gave a great story last night.
He did, because Tirico asked him, when was the last time you picked up a ball and shot it? And he said it had been years, apparently. He mentioned something about a house he was buying from someone, and the guy, it was a...
So he rented a house for the Ryder Cup recently.
Yes.
He rented a house for the Ryder Cup, and what he said was part of the deal was that the guy who rented it to him scheduled a meet and greet. They were going to come over, obviously. I mean, let's be honest. Hey, you'd want that. You go over, you take pictures, and the guy brought his kids over and wanted them to meet Jordan and do all this stuff, and they took pictures and everything. And there was a basketball court on the facility, on the grounds. And the guy said, and this is typically Jordan, and this is the great part about Jordan, the guy said, hey, I'm asking one thing. I'm just going to ask one thing. Will you shoot one free throw? One free throw. And Mike, being honest, was like, man, I'm already paying you for the house. I'm giving you the meet and greet. Now you're asking, you know, it was kind of one of those things where you could tell he was annoyed. But what Michael Jordan said last night was like, once he got the free throw, once he got the ball, he goes over to the foul line, and he said that the guy's kids are standing there. And he said that he realized it wasn't Michael Jordan today shooting the free throw. These kids had heard about Michael Jordan 30 years ago shooting the free throw, and that he simply could not let them down.
Sure.
And it was really a funny story about him shooting one singular free throw. He said he made it. Mm-hmm. He said it was as much gratitude as he's had in a long time.
Well, he says the most nerves he's felt in a very long time. And again, when you're the guy, you don't want to let down the kids that are, you know, that you've been built up as a superhero in front of. I thought it was interesting, and the way, because they tease the next part where he talks about load management and playing the full season. So I think it's going to be a series of short clips of him just being asked about the topics of today, right? I'm sure at some point they'll say, hey, you were LeBron type of thing. That'll come at some point, I would think. And just kind of the general topics of the NBA today. And look, Tirico's a good interviewer. Like, I trust it'll be insightful and stuff like that. But here's the thing, and you're right, that there is a segment of people that would like to, you know, learn some of the darker details or some of the stuff that maybe is a little bit deeper into Michael Jordan's life. But being who he is, anytime he speaks in a setting like that, because he doesn't talk a lot, right? We don't see Michael Jordan, you know, give public speeches
Right.
or anything like that, or talk to the media a ton. So when he does, I think it's something that people gravitate towards.
Well, we just want to hear something. We want to hear, but again, and I'll be honest, and there are some secrets, Michael Jordan's secrets are more, I think, gambling on the golf course.
Yeah.
Who did how
Sure.
much was this? What happened on that shot?
Well, when you left the NBA the first time, what really happened?
Yeah.
Those kind of things. Why'd you go play baseball? Type of things.
This was brought up to me a while back. I can't remember when. And it dawned on me last night, but it just dawned on me again. You get to hear a complete one-on-one breakdown story or interview, two players, Larry Bird or Michael Jordan.
Oh goodness. And any topics on the table?
Any topic.
I'd probably still go Jordan.
So I'd go Larry Bird.
Okay.
I'd go Larry Bird. Bird's got some of these stories about drinking and showing up, and there's the great story about him, and I forget his teammate, went to Atlanta and went out the night before the game, got out of the hotel, went to the hotel, and there was some Atlanta Hawk cheerleaders there, and they happened to recognize him, and they wanted to be heroes.
Sure.
They were going to be heroes. So apparently they bought Larry just beer all night. And it ended up him and whoever's team it was, and it ended up equal somewhere around the number of combined, not just for Larry Bird, 20 to 25 beers is what they bought him. And the girls basically went to the game the next day and were bragging and being like, yeah, y'all should win this game. We got Larry drunk last night. He's not going to feel good. And he went out and had something like 37 points, and they knocked the Hawks off in Atlanta. And as he was walking off the court, he looked over at the cheerleaders and in that French lick Indiana accent said, "And thank you for the beers, ladies." and I feel like he would have some really good stories. 803-404-6100. We'll get back to that NFL stuff. Woody Johnson and Justin Fields here in just a minute. Let's get to the phone lines. Tim wants to weigh in. Tim, how you doing? What's on your mind?
I'm doing, y'all. I ain't called y'all in a long time. I've told y'all before, I like Tennessee and Carolina, and I keep up with both of them. And it bothers me to say this a little bit, but, Shane Beamer, I like him. I love his enthusiasm. I love his attitude. But, facts is facts. We've been having the same conversations about the offensive line. How long has he been there? 5 years. This is his 5th year, right?
Yeah.
Okay, we've been having the same conversation about the offensive line this whole time. And in interviews and all this, that, and the other, he'll say, we've got guys that everybody recruited and we got them and all this, that, and the other, and they're having to play. I mean, okay, what's that telling you? I think with my own eyes, I don't think there's been nobody in college football since Cam Newton that was anywhere close to it except Lenore Sellers. I think Lenore Sellers has got more raw talent than Cam Newton had. And they're not even getting the best out of him. I mean, what's that tell you? I like Beamer, but the facts is facts after so long. It don't matter if you're talking about football, baseball, golf, tennis, soccer, whatever. Winning is the bottom line. And it ain't happening. I mean, if you take Lenore Sellers, we ain't even getting the best out of him, fellas. I mean, my goodness. And like I said, it pains me to say, because I really like Beamer, but I think things is kind of messed up down there right now. I'm telling you the truth.
I appreciate it. Thank you for the phone. We got to hit the break here and head to the top of the head to the end of the show. Tim, thank you for the phone call. We'll try to address that and get a few more things in the final segment. It's the halftime show. wrapping it up here on a Wednesday. And tomorrow, again, we'll get into turning the calendar really to Alabama as South Carolina gears up. Line has fluctuated a little bit, 11.5, 12.5. I believe it is back to 12.5 at this point in time. And Tyler, again, as I've said, not that I would pick Alabama to win, I do feel like they're due for a slight letdown. Just the schedule, the gauntlet that they've played. Now they got to go on the road. At least it's a 3:30 game, but who knows where they'll kind of be at mentally. This is not. Let's be honest. They had this game probably circled as going to be a big game. Now it's not. It is not Vanderbilt. It's not Tennessee. It's not Missouri. It's not the game that they initially had circled.
It's really funny how much the perception of two teams can change even within the own season. Because, again, going back in the offseason, we expected this to be a huge game. We certainly expected Alabama's probably going to be pretty good. We thought Carolina's going to be pretty good, too. And after week one, if you would have polled the nation on who's going to probably win this game in October, I'd say, 90% of people would say, oh, Carolina definitely. Alabama looks terrible.
Yeah.
They're dead in the water. DeBoer's not going to make it to that game as the head coach and all that kind of stuff. And what they've done in their 6 games since, it's not extreme to say they look like the best team in college football right now. And unfortunately for Carolina, they look like one of the worst teams, at least to the Power 4 level, in terms of the way that, they've played. So, yeah, the dynamic of this has shifted quite a bit. But you're right. They've played 4 straight ranked opponents, 2 of those games on the road. And again, DeBoer has had his struggles on the road, particularly when it comes to playing unranked opponents. So that's something that could end up being an issue for them this weekend. But, they may come in here and play their C-plus game. That's still probably capable of winning, but it might not be the 42-10 blowout. It could be a sleepy 27-13 type of thing.
Yeah. That's kind of, we'll talk again. We'll get a lot more into that tomorrow as it pertains to this weekend's game and what we need to see. And, one of the big things will be, as we just mentioned, trying to jump on Alabama early, get the crowd rocking and rolling, put some pressure on the Tide, and go from there. 803-404-6100. Jets owner, Woody Johnson. Hey, our team's not bad. We just got one problem.
The quarterback, apparently.
Let's listen. We got the audio here.
We do.
Let's listen. Captain Dave, this is going to be the clip. I apologize.
Cut 24.
Cut 24. Here is Woody Johnson explaining the Jets. Those New York Jets. They're so well coached, managed, run. Here is the problem currently with the New York Jets.
Well, it looks like he's turning around parts of it. It's hard when you have a quarterback with, with a rating that we got. He has the ability, but something just is not jiving. But if you look at any head coach with a quarterback like that, you're going to see similar results if you go across the league. You have to play consistently with, at that position, and that's what we're going to try to do.
Quarterback's the problem. It is not a good thing for them, mind you, but
no, and I'm pretty sure he had a lot of involvement in bringing Justin Fields to the Jets, being that he is the owner and everything. And look, Fields has not had a good season. There's a reason he got a bench for Tyrod Taylor on Sunday. By the way, talk about a journeyman, Tyrod Taylor. He's been around for a while and played in just about every single team. But there's a lot more issues than just quarterback Justin Fields. I feel for Aaron Glenn, man. This could be a one-and-done situation with how bad things are up there in New York. But, yeah, Woody Johnson throwing the QB under the bus on that one.
803-404-6100, as we have, again, discussed today, kind of a vibe check. And we'll see. We'll revisit this on Friday because, as we said, Tyler, on Wednesday it's easy to be kind of down.
Sure.
It's easy to be kind of depressed in your team. But by Friday, maybe you started to put some tailgate plans together. Maybe you're starting to have a little bit of hope. You believe that something could come together. We'll revisit the vibe check here on Friday. Tonight, again, I think a Halloween movie kind of night. We are 2 days away. Friday would be a week away. We are a week and 2 days away from Halloween.
Yep, so it's coming. Well, I think we ordered some costume stuff yesterday, and we'll see
Okay.
what the wife has for us to wear.
Matching. Is it matching?
Some kind of matching.
Okay, so you go with whatever gets laid out for you. You just put it on and
Yeah.
you have to smile.
At least it's on a Friday this year, so don't have to worry about work the next day. We'll have the Ole Miss game, but a little bit better than being on a Thursday.
I don't disagree with you. Yeah, make for a fun weekend. Couple parties, things going on. It's been a lot of fun. Very interesting conversation today. Very point-blank, honest conversation on a lot of different things. We will get back into Alabama tomorrow and look ahead to the weekend. Get you set for Thursday, get you set for Friday, and we'll roll along and spend the halftime show.